Hello everyone and welcome to Español with Ed. If you want me to keep making these videos, don't forget to give me a like, subscribe to the channel, and share this video with any friends and family who are also interested in learning Spanish. Many of you probably took a Spanish class or two at some point in school, but never really used it. I know that was my story at one point. So if you did, you may remember some, but we're still going to start from the beginning. All nouns are masculine or feminine. Masculine nouns are prefaced with el, and feminine nouns are prefaced with la. Masculine nouns typically end in o, and feminine ones typically end in a. But, of course, there are exceptions, and we'll talk about some of those later. For now, let's look at some examples. Apple, la manzana, la manzana. The prefix, called the article, is la, and it ends in a, so right away, you know it's a feminine noun. Most of you have probably heard the saying, mi casa es su casa. The word for house, la casa. La casa. Book, el libro. El libro. The prefix is el, and it ends in o, so right away, you know it's a masculine noun. Dress, el vestido. El vestido. Now's a good time to point out two things. Whether a noun is classified as masculine or feminine has nothing to do with the object itself. As you can see, the word for dress is a masculine word according to the rules of Spanish. Let me also say a word about pronunciation. You'll often hear the letter V pronounced with a B sound. So you'll hear this word pronounced vestido and not vestido. It's important to note the difference in pronunciation. So remember I said that you could tell whether a word was masculine or feminine by whether it ends in O or A? Well, that's just a general rule. Once you become more immersed in the language, you'll get a feel for some of the exceptions. One common exception is words that end in MA. You'll look at them and think they're feminine words at first, but many are not. Let's look at a few examples. Weather, el clima. It ends in A, so you would think it would be la clima, but this is a masculine noun. El clima. El programa. El tema. On the flip side, you have the word for hand, which ends in O, but is a feminine noun. La mano. La mano. La foto. Now let's talk about verbs. In Spanish, all verbs end in either AR, ER, or IR. Let's start off with an AR verb. By the way, H is always silent in Spanish. Think about how we say the words honor or hour, as in time, in English. It's always like that in Spanish. So let's conjugate the verb hablar, which means to speak or to talk. Yo hablo, I speak. You, tú, hablas, you speak. He, she, it, and you again, él, ella, lo, la, usted, habla. He speaks, she speaks, It speaks. Nosotros hablamos. We speak. You, plural. Vosotros habláis. You speak or you all speak. And you'll see I have this indicated as Spain because this conjugation is typically only used in Spain. They, ellos, ellas hablan, they speak. And then you'll see I have listed here again another form of the plural you, which is the form that's used in Latin American countries. Ustedes hablan. You speak or you all speak. You'll also notice that there is an informal way to say you and a formal way. In Spanish-speaking countries, they use the to conjugation when speaking with someone they're familiar with, a family member, a friend or peer, or with someone around the same age. They use usted as a sign of respect when speaking with someone that they don't know, someone who is older, or people in certain positions. For example, they might address their boss at work using the usted conjugation, or if they're at the doctor's office, they might address the doctor in that way. How would you say, I speak Spanish? Yo hablo español. Yo hablo español. You speak Spanish. And let's use the informal version. Tú hablas español. Tú hablas español. He speaks Spanish. Él habla español. Él habla español. You speak Spanish, but this time let's use the formal version of you. Usted habla español. Usted habla español. We speak Spanish. Nosotros hablamos español. Nosotros hablamos español. You all speak Spanish. And let's imagine we're in Spain. Vosotros habláis español. Vosotros habláis español. Again, this conjugation is only used in Spain. They speak Spanish. Ellos hablan español. Ellos hablan español. You all speak Spanish, and this time let's use the Latin American conjugation. Ustedes hablan español. Ustedes hablan español. You speak Spanish. Tú hablas español. How would you ask this as a question? Of course, in English, it's do you speak Spanish? But what about in Spanish? Well, in Spanish, it's really quite easy. You just add question marks. But if you need to differentiate a question in spoken language, you differentiate it by using inflection in your voice. Here's what I mean. The statement, you speak Spanish, is tú hablas español. But the question, do you speak Spanish, is tú hablas español? Can you hear the difference? Do you hear the inflection in my voice at the end to indicate that it's a question? Let me let you hear it again. The statement is, you speak Spanish. Tú hablas español. The question, do you speak Spanish? Tú hablas español? Do they speak Spanish? Ellos hablan español? The statement to say that they speak Spanish is ellos hablan español. But in order to ask the question, ellos hablan español? Let's have a quick review. Hablo, hablas, habla, hablamos, habláis, hablan, hablan. And you'll remember that masculine nouns are prefaced with el and feminine nouns are prefaced with la. Masculine nouns typically end in o, and feminine ones typically end in a. But of course, there are exceptions, and we talked about some of those earlier. Gracias. Thank you for watching. In the next video, we'll talk more about nouns and verbs. We'll add in some adjectives and practice more sentences. Please don't forget to give me a like and be sure to subscribe so you'll be notified when I upload new lessons. See you in the next one.